I, Shannon, take you, Catherine, to be my wife.
I, Shannon, take thee, Catherine, to be my wife.
And I promise,
Before God and these witnesses,
to be your loving and faithful husband, in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live. And Catherine, if you'll make your vow. I, Catherine, take you, Shannon, to be my husband.
I, Catherine, take you, Shannon, to be my husband.
And I promise, before God and these witnesses, to be your loving and faithful wife, in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live. And Patrick, may I have the rings, please? Let us pray. By your blessing, O God.
When Shannon and I met, we met online, and he and I emailed for a couple of weeks, and he just, something about the way that he put emails together caught my attention, because he could make me laugh, and in a couple of sentences it was brightening up my day to wake up and check those emails and make sure he had sent me one. And then finally he just bit the bullet and said we should meet in person, and that's really probably the better part, was getting to meet him in person. And before I did that, my friend gave me a long lecture about, you know, meeting this guy online and what I could and shouldn't do and should do. And she dropped me off, and I was so nervous. It was hot. It was really hot in the, we met at the Flying Saucer, and I walked in and I was sweating. And I sat down, and he just immediately made me feel more comfortable. He smiled, and we talked like we had known each other forever, and we'd really only been emailing, which was kind of a unique experience. So it just made me feel comfortable right away.
So to this date, Kate and I still can't agree on who actually met who first online, because she claims that she had sent me a wink, and I claim that I had noticed her wine ribbon and made some cute remark about that. And anyway, I guess all of it's moot now, because everything ended up just the way it should have, so we couldn't be happier about that. But when we did meet the first time, I arrived first. Kate arrived a little bit after I did, and I was just sitting there waiting, and she walked in, and we talked like we were old friends. There was no awkward silence. There was no trying to get to know the other person for the first time. Everything just flowed, and it was so natural that minutes turned into hours, and next thing you know, we needed to go have dinner. So we changed venues, and we went and had dinner somewhere else, and dinner ended, and we still didn't want the night to end. And despite constant warnings from her friends about getting in a car with a stranger she had met on the internet, she went against her better judgment, saw something in me, I guess, and we went off to a third place, where she had told me she'd never been, or doesn't go very often. And yet when we first walked in, the first thing that happened was one of the wait staff came up and said, "Oh, Kate! Nice to see you again." So I knew immediately something was up, and I still think she actually let me win the first game of darts we played, but it ended up okay also. So, but the best part was the end of the night, whenever I took her home, and after all the warnings I had received about, you know, what her friends expected of the first date and everything else, I dropped her off at the curb and didn't bother walking her to her apartment, not because of a lack of chivalry, but because of lack of respect of her boundaries. And I managed to make it back to about the freeway to drive home, and I get a text message that says, "You should have kissed me." And maybe I should have, maybe I shouldn't have, but it really doesn't matter now. Why I love Kate. Anyone who knows anything about Kate knows she is a very, very unique individual. And I guess that's what I needed, because she is a breath of fresh air to me. She is all the things I never knew I wanted. And as I mentioned previously, the first time we met, it was like we were old friends, and we just picked up the conversation from the last time that we saw each other. And that conversation hasn't ended, and I look forward to seeing how it grows.
Why I love Shannon. He just immediately made me feel comfortable, and I could tell him whatever I wanted to. I could say whatever I wanted to. Sometimes, unfortunately, without thinking first, but he has never, I don't think, has never judged me. He might have, I don't know. But has always been very caring from the first moment I met him. I could tell that he really cared about the people that were close to him, his friends and his family. And I just wanted to be a part of that. He makes me feel safe, and he's funny as all get out. He makes me laugh all the time, non-stop, even when I'm mad or when I'm sad about something. He makes me laugh, and life is just more fun with him around. Better with him around, always better with him around.